he starts sucking his own dick for, basically the rest of the video, talking about what an effective, hyper productive person he is. And he completely understands where James is coming from. He also has no time.
I don't.
He's like, spend an hour with my girlfriend before I go to bed. If I want to have sex, that's another hour out of my life.
Then I'll only have 3 hours of sleep. It's like, all right.
I'm not a big fan of this toxic masculinity concept. There's toxic masculinity going on here. What the fuck is all this?
All right, guys, time to work. Take these dumbbells. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, ready? Now, proper form. Curl it up. Feel the burn. Perfect. Keep going. Push through. That's it. Good job. Here are your weights. Okay. Wow. Got it. Thanks. Much obliged.
For having an opinion we don't agree with, you have been kicked from server.
I could get the guys in Red Cow jacked. No problem. The meal prep would be a little bit time consuming, but these fellas have no issue with time, so they'd be able to handle it. One of them does spiritual fasts, so he could definitely handle the diet that I do. And good for you with the spiritual fasting, by the way. That's good. Okay, I've committed the sin on the internet of defending James Rolfe because I noticed it was growing increasingly more popular to shit on the guy for the fact that he hired editors and writers and Screenwave Media to help him keep up with every ongoing Cinemasker project, like the shows and the series that he produces that have been ongoing for the past 20 years, which got to be a lot for him, especially once having children, and couple that with the fact that James himself is a low-key, shy, quiet, awkward kind of guy. And I was like, pick on somebody your own size. And is it cool to kick a man when he's down or struggling to keep up with an impossible workload? A workload that you enjoyed for so long. But that was then, bro. We don't like what you got going on now. You ain't shit now. You were great then. Remember when we were fans? Yeah, there's this sort of like autistic mentality and fandom of certain internet personalities that says like, you were great, you were my hero, but I now know that James bad. And then they go to these Reddits that previously returning members on a daily basis come back to talk badly about somebody, which I think is just foul. So is it cool to kick a man when he's down is basically what I was saying, and James just doesn't seem like the personality type that's worthy of it because he doesn't seem arrogant, he doesn't seem rude, he doesn't seem pompous, he seems shy, quiet, awkward, not very comfortable with his own internet success to begin with, and I just don't think it's cool. Stone me for thinking it's not cool. It's not. This was a workload of balancing AVGN, Monster Madness, Board James, and every regular piece of Cinemasker content that subscribers had come to expect that he produced nonstop without skipping a beat or taking a dip in quality for the better part of, 15 years? Before it finally started to catch up to him and the quality finally started taking a dip and he finally started phoning it in and calling in help. Oh, it was only after 15 years of nonstop solid content that he finally started phoning it in. And this is an area where we sort of have a disconnect between a creator that feels more personal to us because he uploads on YouTube just like we upload on YouTube. It's like he's just another person that's almost on the other side of the YouTube, whereas the entertainment of Hollywood feels so out of reach. To criticize it feels to scream into a void or something. You know, they'll never really hear it. They'll never entertain it. They'll never look at your comments personally. When Family Guy took a dip in quality after like 10 plus years of really good seasons, they finally started to dip. Same thing with like The Simpsons. Same thing with any series that has run for 20 years. There are certain shows that just feel that they need to be a staple in pop culture and never go away. The Simpsons wore on me long ago, but it does sort of feel like, yeah, it's like Simpsons should never really go anywhere. Even if it's not good, I just still like to know that it's around. You know what I mean? It's almost a pop culture thing. Family Guy, same thing. Like once it finally goes off air, it'll still feel like it was never enough Family Guy because it should always play somewhere in the background of the culture. Point I'm making here is Seth MacFarlane wrote like how many seasons of Family Guy before he hung it up, phoned it in, and now everyone handles it for him, and he just comes in and does the voices and leaves and gets onto other shit. See how because it's Family Guy, a worldwide television success, a multi-million-dollar operation, nobody's like, dude, you ain't shit. You ain't shit like when you used to do the voices, like when you cared. It's like, that's what happens in television if they're going to do television for 20 years. The creator's not going to be a part of every piece of detail of writing, of crafting episodes for 20 years. Maybe he could do it for the first 5 or the first 10. They offered Jerry Seinfeld some ungodly amount of money to just do one more season, and he was like, no, because one more season, that's one more season away from us finally phoning it in because we ran out of ideas. But when it comes to an internet content creator like James, it's like, dog, no, you should have been able to keep up with this without ever taking a dip in quality, without ever calling in help. Larry David's another great example. You know, Larry David had an unbelievable deal with HBO where they understood he may run out of ideas, and if he does, he can go away for 5 years, and if it takes him 5 years to come up with another brilliant season, he can come back to us whenever he's come up with another brilliant brilliant season instead of pressuring the man to produce seasons year after year on a yearly schedule. I think Sylvester Stallone's situation was a pretty good example as well. Of course, they put a lot of pressure on him to do a Rocky every single year, and he'd always say, no, I actually have to live my life in order to come up with the inspiration for another Rocky, because every Rocky takes a piece out of something that I went through in my life, and that's why there's only one Rocky that's kind of lacking as far as the storytelling after how many years of Rocky. And then, of course, one of the things I expressed was I don't understand what's so hilarious about the fact that James Rolfe doesn't have the same amount of time for making Cinemassacre content that he had in his 20s now that he's 45 with 2 children, and he's had to take some of his shows off of the priority list, like Board James. People asked, where's Board James? He answered the audience when they asked, and the answer was, I don't have time for Board James anymore. And I said, I'm a guy that doesn't even have a wife and kids or a million shows to keep up with, and I hardly have time for anything. Then I listed off my schedule. That was my actual schedule. It wasn't a bit. The guys in Red Cow roasted the living fuck out of me for an hour for this.
Or like, so, you know, he's like, I mean, these are virgins who do nothing but play Call of Duty for 9 hours, unlike me, who would not do that. I'm like, wait a minute. And he's like these childless, familyless fucking losers. And he keeps he's putting up photos of us repeatedly.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder who.
Like I said in the comments when I was talking to the guy on the right personally in the comment section, that was due to the remark that he made when quoting Mike Matei, who said, James doesn't have a lot of time because he has 2 small children to take care of. That's the first thing I'd seen of Red Cow. And he just looks down and goes, okay.
Filming some of the games took many hours, and James had less time because now he has kids to take care of. Okay. You know, we've covered that topic.
Okay. Yeah. No comment.
That said to me that you must not understand what it's like to have children. I guess he does have children and a wife. So I'm still puzzled why that's hilarious. Now, I'm not even going to say it's particularly mean because these cats are starting to seem less mean-spirited than I thought they were. But that was the first clip I'd seen of him. So I said that to him in a comment personally. I said, just imagine this is the first impression I ever had of you. The way you responded to a quote about James, the quote being, he doesn't have as much time to do playthroughs because he has 2 small children to take care of, was reacted to by you in like a snickering, snarky laughter. Like you didn't understand what it's like to put your kids before video game playthroughs, because that's what Mike Matei was referring to in particular. Not even the production of AVGN or a Cinemassacre production, the video games themselves. And there's that video that everybody makes fun of where James is like, oh my God, it's 5:40. They were playing video games. That's what needed to get cut short. Not a film shoot, not a feature shoot, not a commercial shoot, not an AVGN production that would be more heavily scheduled than sitting with Mike playing video games.
I was showing Nina the video. She was getting a real kick out of it. And who should walk in but my 8-year-old? And she's like, what's going on?
His wife's name is Nina. That's from Dracula.
I'm like, this guy made fun of me on the internet.
You know, there's like biblical names. I identify Dracula names.
And she's like, did he make fun of me? I wish somebody would talk about me.
I just talked about you, Nina. Nina is a great name because it's from Dracula. Someone in the comments was making fun of my tattoos. Like, I would have planned out those tattoos better. It's a whole Dracula piece. Dracula's eyes, Dracula's skull. Alucard, who was played by Lon Chaney Jr. in the movies, but I chose the Castlevania version. Love Dracula.
His goalpost is your value is derived and measured based on how many hoes you with.
No.
His sexual value is obviously a big part of his life. Like he throws that around.
But he like brings up the Bible at some point. Like he's like shows a JPEG of a Bible, and I'm like,
he's like, let me teach you about stuff that's spiritual. And if you don't like the Bible, perhaps you would like Revenge of the Sith. See, if you keep making fun of James Rolfe, you're eventually going to kill younglings. I'm like, sir, you've been radicalized on YouTube. That's what happened to you. You've been radicalized on YouTube.
These guys are making me realize how ridiculous I sound sometimes.
He was born in 1996, and so I guess like Revenge of the Sith would have been like Scorsese level for somebody that age, maybe. It's look, I'm not making any friends with this comment. Revenge of the Sith sucks. The Bible's way better.
No. I didn't say it was Scorsese level, but Revenge of the Sith is factually based on biblical themes. The story of the fallen angel. Star Wars is the ultimate story of good versus evil.
So he's doing his napkin math. He's figuring out how to fit everything in, his meal prep and his gym time. and his sex with his non-wife. He's talking about like when he's on his set, he's telling everybody. We tell everybody. We say, "Don't fuck with our time. Don't fuck with our time because our time is precious. Our time is valuable." Can you imagine? Can you imagine on one of our sets being like, "Hey, everybody, it's me, Frankie. First of all, did everybody work out this morning? Second of all, don't fuck with my time."
I only got 5 hours, maybe 3 hours of sleep.
Unfortunately, the girlfriend wanted to make love, which I did allow her to do.
These guys are pretty all right, man.
So I'm groggy, and I'm financially ruined.
I don't understand why he thinks that's funny. He's a filmmaker. If he hired me to work on his set and he was like, "Don't fuck with my time, keep up and don't push us behind schedule," I would be like, "Yes, sir." I wouldn't be like, "You know what? That's where I draw the line." I mean, if you expect me to be respectful of your time on your own self-financed film project, then you can find yourself another grip. I'm going the fuck home. These guys are really funny. I'm starting to like them a lot more than when I first found them. But you'll still notice throughout this podcast a continuous effort on their part to suggest that film production, no matter the budget, no matter the time frame available to you, considering all the working parts that usually makes it such a task, should always be a breeze. Is never really a difficult or life-altering task, and to ever admit that you lost sleep, lost money, or were really put through it by a film production is only ever just to say you're self-righteous about your own productivity. And for as good as these guys are and as enjoyable as they are to listen to, that's still the most disingenuous thing they bring up in this conversation, and it's all just to defend their position that it's absolutely logical to make fun of James Rolfe for having no time.
And okay, this is one of the strangest things that's in this video. Is he's going like, and here's the thing, guys. Mrs. Rolfe, she got a body. Yeah, she got a body. You know, I say this respectfully, of course, super respectfully. Yeah, she got a body. Like, what are you talking? Why are you talking this way?
He's making up his own fiction. He's like writing dialogue for April, and he's like,
"Oh yeah,
oh,
this guy lives in some fan fiction, this total fan fiction." But he's like, "Well, think about it. I mean, if April says like, hey, dude, you can't be downstairs. We have 2 kids now. You can't be downstairs making fun of no SNES games anymore. You got to come up."
Dude, the guy in the cowboy hat is killing me.
I think like he used to have a YouTube career when he was much younger, like when he was a teenager. And he said that there was another video where he was like, "My phone got hacked. Somebody made an iceberg video about me that I asked them to take it down." And I think he's like carrying his own trauma about something that happened online, and he's applying that to James. That's what's actually going on here.
Yeah.
It's a theory.
Which is kind of funny that he then singles out Dan Olsen, because Dan Olsen
he might be right about that.
Himself onto James as well.
Yeah, he decided against wife and kids because he wants to make the schlock, which, you know, beta. He apparently knows. Like I noticed this guy has been on that Jesse Lee Peterson guy's show like 1,000 times.
No, I've only been on Jesse's show one time. Jesse's been to the house though, and we did a movie.
Sitting in my house in the fly.
But I love this house.
That's
This
so
is an
great.
amazing house.
It's cool. Yep.
Thank you.
It's like a grown man clubhouse. We have Jesse.
Right.
It's amazing.
It's perfect for you guys.
The idea that a minute or an hour is an absolute unit is true. We all have the same hour, but everybody uses that hour differently. And James demonstrated to the world that he did not know how to use the hour effectively. And so when he says, "You wouldn't believe how long it took me to make the Rob the Robot video, it took me 200 hours, you're like, "I see how. It shouldn't have taken 200 hours.
This is another thing I just don't agree with. We can agree to disagree. I don't agree that it's positive to say you're the person that knows exactly how to manage another person's time around the priorities that they have in their life, and you could have scheduled a production to be executed in a much more efficient time. That exact production that he worked on. Like, you know everything that was going on in his life at the time. You knew everything it entailed, and if you were there, you would have been like, "Oh, here's what you're doing wrong. You just should have been doing this." Everybody knows that. I know that. My mother knows that. Everybody knows how to do the Rob the Robot video in under 200 hours. Is it cool? Like, maybe it's not the most wrong thing in the world. And I can take back some of my jabs at these guys for not having watched enough of their content before I criticize them for criticizing James. But can we agree it's not, like, the coolest thing in the world? You know, like, stand on the corner with a bunch of cool guys talking about, dude, I could manage time better than like most filmmakers on YouTube. Well, it certainly, if not James Rolfe. I mean, like, dude, I could, like, dude, if I was in that guy's shoes, like, lived his life, had his responsibilities, had his priorities, like, I could manage it all so much better. It's like,
At the very least, we can't agree to disagree that it's not cool. Well, you think it's cool. I don't think it's cool. I'm just saying.
He said he uses terminology, EJ, like you ain't shit. He's the kind of white guy who says wit instead of with.
Yeah.
I was with.
I ain't with that.
I was with someone the other night. I can say with.
Yeah, he went into something. There was like a strange kind of diatribe about, like when you nerds, feel the love of a woman for the first time, and she starts making ultimatums to you about, like you need to put down whatever video games or something, that you'll all be quaking in your boots. You'll be shivering and begging her to come back. He just kind of like, he goes down some like crazy path. There's some weird fiction.
Yeah, I don't know what it has to do. Like, I tuned that part out because I don't even know what the fuck he's talking
The
about.
fuck are you talking about? He says, look, I can take it. You can make fun of me. I grew up around crack and hoes. I'm like, okay. What's this got to do with James Rolfe?
Help.
And he goes, so you make fun of him, but why don't you make fun of me? Why don't you pick on somebody your own? So you're going to step to me. And then he cuts to a video of himself punching a punching bag. He's going to punch you out for making fun of James Rolfe.
Dude, this guy's good.
And there's this whole thing. He's like, nerds have become mean. Nerds have become the bullies. I sort of see the point. Yes. In as much as like power dynamics in a technological world have given more power to nerds than they once had. And so he attempts a spiritual argument about how if you critique someone, even a bad person, he says, you're destined to become bad yourself. So criticism is not allowed.
I missed the point.
So saith Jesus Christ. or Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He's really funny, but he missed the point completely on that one. What you hate and what you fight, you become. And that's why it's wrong to hate, because it taints your soul also. Criticism is not cool. It's not cool to critique people doing cool shit they're passionate about and tear it apart. Would you rather be Billy Joel or be the critics that ripped apart Billy Joel records? They're also usually always wrong, the critics. Whoever your favorite artist is or whoever your favorite filmmaker is, they have stories about the critics ripping apart the material that eventually went on to be massively successful. The only thing the critics are usually right about is the fall off, where we are with James Rolfe. He's fallen off a bit. The material's fallen off a bit. It's not quite as good as it used to be. He's getting old. He's getting burnt out. You'd be right to point out that this is all true. But you take pleasure in that? Is that like a fun thing to be right about? Wow, this guy did so good for so long and he's not shit now. I noticed. The critic. We also got to point out this difference. Everybody keeps bringing up in light of this conversation, why can't we critique James Rolfe when he critiqued movies and games? You can. I'm just going to point out the more mean-spirited personal diss that you guys throw at James versus the funny critiques that James did of video games and movies for entertainment value. That difference is this. Multi-million-dollar video game companies produce video games that they don't give a fuck about. Multi-billion-dollar movie studios produce movies that they don't care about. There's no heart in them. There's no art in them. There's nothing personal about it to the filmmakers, and they just throw it out there to the masses. If you critique that, I don't think you're as much of a hater as if you critique a sort of one-man show of a production where one guy did all the production to bring to life a story that meant something to him on a shoestring budget, and maybe where it suffers the most is the lack of additional funds that could have brought it to life even more authentically.
But the movie is called Rerouting, and it seems to be like a horror movie about like an Uber driver. I mean, it looks like total trash, and it's on Tubi, and fuck this guy.
Yeah, that was the first real low blow of the video. But I kind of feel like he didn't want to say that because he instantly goes, oh, well, he was coming at me. He was coming at me.
Sorry, it's just like, you coming at me. What are you coming at me for?
I would never say something like that about one of your movies, Frankie. Even if I thought it really sucked, I'm not going to do that. See, this is where we all become hypocrites when we start talking about other people. Here's Frankie's give me a break, you try being in my shoes moment.
Yeah, it's like to anybody who's like, you only get 5,000 views normally. I'm like, well, you'd fucking try getting 5,000 views on like every video for years and years and years. Like, I don't know, give it a try, smart ass.
And I'm going to say the same. My movie looks like shit. You try making a movie under the exact circumstances I made Rerouting under. It was a more ambitious project than any of your features, Frankie. $50,000 to do blood, gore, rig cameras to vehicles for action driving shots without green screens, stunts, chaos, and more intense situations than I think you've depicted in any of your films, and it needed to be done in 8 days because there was producers and financiers standing over my shoulder. Let's go. Let's not lose time. We don't have a 9th day. I would love love to have seen Frankie take over. I mean, it was exhausting for me. I wish he was there and I could be like, Frankie, thank God, please, you handle it. With ease and breeze and get a perfect amount of sleep and don't stress, because making films is always like that. The stress that comes with independent filmmaking is usually when you take on a project, a film, and a story that's bigger than what you can handle. $50,000 is bigger than me. $2,500 is not bigger than me. I have that in my account right now. But I couldn't have done rerouting for $2,500. But money can't save everything because you have to still work in a time crunch. Not everybody's available for a limitless amount of time. To get the DP that you want, the cam op that you want, the AD that you want, the actors that you want, the locations that you want, you might just wind up in a situation where it's like, here's a decent budget, but you got 8 days and there isn't a 9th day. If you go over time, if you don't get everything that you need in the time that you have available to you, you're done. All that money's worthless now. That was your time frame. You exceeded your time frame. You're beat. So performing under those circumstances is always like, we got one chance. I was saying, like these guys, I too had aspirations from a young age of one day making feature-length films, and I did that 3 times. When I thought, realistically, I would only ever get a chance to do it once. Previous to that, I didn't think I'd ever get a chance to do it. If I had never done that, I don't know that criticizing other filmmakers on YouTube, even with a decent viewership for it, would have been more meaningful to me than making the feature films that I aspired to make, because that's what I thought the dream of all filmmakers was. That's the only reason I brought up my movies. And that's another reason I have a hard time shitting on the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. It's only as good as it can be for a feature-length film that's based on a web series character who has no business carrying an entire feature-length story, because AVGN is just not meant to play this way. But at least he did it. We go to film school with the hopes of making features one day, not get stuck doing YouTube, commercials, or some other type of media and say, well, at least it's a form of media. It does involve film and audio equipment and some of the things I learned, I suppose, and then spend the rest of the time using our film school knowledge that we learned early on to critique other people's work. And that's why I won't criticize Frankie's movie. I just won't do it. It's not cool. He's a Northeast cat like myself. I see some Kevin Smith inspiration in the movie he made about a musician that's down on his luck. I, too, have a feature with a very similar theme that kind of tends to happen when you're from sort of the same area. He's in the state that's just next door to mine. I think Northeast creatives have kind of an odd collective consciousness in that sort of way. I also dare to say retro gaming might survive and thrive the most in the Northeast. I originally asked these guys if they were from Pennsylvania when I saw the arcade room they do their podcast in, because James is in Pennsylvania, Screenwave is in Pennsylvania, so many of the big retro gaming expos are in Pennsylvania, and I've seen all these retro gaming shops that are really cool looking pop up on Facebook marketing the sales of their games recently. You can only contact them by Messenger, and every one of them gets back to me and says they're all in Pennsylvania. So it's like, fuck it. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, we all fall under the umbrella of not being as cool as New York and being heavily inspired by Kevin Smith if you're a guy that ever aspired to make indies that seem real and down to earth, reflecting the way you feel as a white guy in his early adulthood, just trying to figure shit out. And having said all that just gave me an epiphany. Maybe that's where James went wrong with the AVGN movie. He's a Northeast cat, and he shot the fucking thing in California. But at least he got to do it. That's also the dream. You know, you're a kid, and you're like, I want to make movies one day, big features out in California, and he did it. That's why I can't talk shit. As far as what I think of Frankie's movie just based on the trailer, do I see shots I would have done differently? Do I find all the acting believable, like I'm watching a real movie? Is this something I could really get into? That, you'll never know, because I just won't do it. I'll let the cool guys critique, if that's the cool thing to do. Call me uncool. Frankie makes $2,500 features, or at least that's what he said in respect to one of his features when he was talking about me in this podcast here. Of course, you didn't lose any sleep and everything was done with ease. In essence, I think what Frankie was saying, though, I think he was just trying to sound like a know-it-all. Nobody needs to stress their time. Everybody can schedule their life around their film projects perfectly. Is downsize your operation when you have a film. Don't take risks, and don't be ambitious. Well, what if my film can't be done for $2,500 and be depicted accurately? I got to find a way to get a budget that suits the film. And whether I think I got the means to do it or not, I'm going to try to go after it. It don't make me better than you or you better than me. It just makes you kind of a smart ass for being like, everything can be done with ease and breeze, and we all get a sufficient amount of sleep, and it can be perfectly scheduled around our other priorities.
You know, make them for $2,000.
The most disingenuous thing about this is, I understand we're having a little bit of an internet back and forth here, but if it weren't for that, I don't think Frankie would say this about me, because I am very far from the only filmmaker who has ever said he lost money on a project, or ever spent too much money on a project, or ever went nights without sleep while working on a film, or was ever under the understandable pressures of time constraints on a movie.
And there's this whole thing, well, we don't sleep. And when I hire somebody on my set, what I say is there's no I am. Like, what are you talking about?
I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I don't like it when people join a production and they're like, I am a professional. I've been here, done that. I've been on many different sets. I've been on bigger sets. I never walk around saying I am a professional. I just say I am doing the work necessary today to make this film happen with the workload that we have on the table today. And that's what I think everybody's attitude should be, because you could be Mr. I am a professional, and you can cost me time and you can cost me money out of my pocket if you do a shit job because you think you're above this production in any way.
He's a very swole individual, obviously a gym rat of some sort.
Yeah, can you imagine how bad the farts must smell? I'm thinking like omega-3 fatty acids, creatine, some massive protein shake.
This was the bit that offended me the most. They're wrong. I designed my diet in a way where I fart like twice a week when nobody's around. I don't think farts are funny. I don't think they're fun. I think farts are gross. That's actually something I stress in a relationship when I'm with a woman and we talk about if we're going to be in a relationship, what are our rules for the relationship. I always say, you cannot fart in front of me. That could put this relationship in jeopardy. The girls usually in that conversation fight on behalf of the farts.
That's how you know you got to tell them that it's not acceptable, or they might try farting.
The girls that would tell me, I used to fart all the time in my last relationship. I'd be like, yeah, what happened to that relationship? Did it fall apart? It did, right? My dad was with this woman a couple of years back. He used to fart with her all the time, and they'd be doing farts. And I'm like, yo, this is not going to end well. And he'd be like, what are you talking about? When you get older, you just fart in front of each other, and it's great. I'm like, I can't believe people get in relationships, and they're doing farts. It must have been like 2 days later, his woman was throwing his shit in the driveway and kicking him out. And I was like, now, see, you think this wasn't because of the farts, but it contributed. It's not romantic.
Kev, I'm going to fart on you.
Yeah, pack your shit.
That clip is of one of the girls I was talking about. She was one of the girls I had that conversation with, that there will be no farting in this relationship. And she was one of the girls that kind of was opposed to it because she said in her last relationship, they were doing farts. And I said, that's disgusting. You're in this relationship now with me and there will be no farting. You want to know how tragic that relationship ended? I found a love letter from her ex written to her that she didn't throw away because she was with me now. She kept it, which means it meant something to her. So I was already upset about that to begin with. But then I read it, and this man literally said to her, I miss you. I miss our love. I miss the good times. I miss staying up late watching movies. I miss laughing with you. And I miss the farts. And that sent me over the edge. I said, you know what? Take your farting ass out of this house. We're breaking up. You need to go back with your boyfriend, have fun, do farts, fart on his head, and have a great fucking life. And that's how that ended. It was tragic. I think she's still with him today. And Frankie goofs on me for not wanting to get married. Why would I want to get married when I found out that married couples be doing farts together? Because that's how comfortable people get when they've been married for a certain number of years. In the dating phase, when you're both trying to attract one another, you never want to get caught slipping in front of one another. You want to keep everything romantic and sexy. 5 years into marriage, you're shitting in front of each other. You're peeing with the door open, and now you're doing farts. Nina has definitely farted on him. What's he going to say? He's a married man. Anyway, this was a very funny podcast by Red Cow. If you want to see the entire thing unedited, I'm going to leave a link to their Patreon in the description. I'm now a member. It only costs $2 a month, so definitely check it out. These guys are funny. They're good at what they do. I do want to point out, though, that I think I was right in saying, well, something that Frankie made fun of me for, but really follow this through. I said, why make fun of a guy like James? It feels so unwarranted. It would feel more warranted to make fun of a guy like me because I'm loud and brash in the way I talk. And look at what happened. One look at my video, and it brings out the best performance you've ever heard from Frankie on a podcast. He does not skip a beat in becoming a roast master, tearing me limb from limb in the same style a comedian would do if he was killing on stage. I mean, he was fucking good. This paints an even more accurate picture by comparison of how it doesn't have the same effect when they're goofing on and laughing at a guy who's just awkwardly sitting in front of the camera saying, a lot of people have asked if we're going to continue Board James, but unfortunately, I don't have the time. I'm still going to say only the nerdiest of nerds resonate with how hilarious it is that James doesn't have as much time as he used to for producing all the Cinemassacre content. Like, to put it in perspective, I think Frankie could have done a lot of this material that he did Breaking My Balls in the podcast on stage at a comedy show and fucking killed, because people relate to a lot of this. Making fun of muscular guys. He's just a dumb fuck that's always with his protein shake, and he thinks his shit doesn't stink, and he thinks his sex life makes all the difference in who he is. You know, people relate to that sort of thing. It's almost like punching up because fitness and things of this nature are positive, but a guy that's too arrogant about it is something everybody can relate to not liking, and the jokes flow on their own. To any comedy room that isn't only exclusively filled with the most offbeat internet nerds, could you go on stage and be like, hey, have you heard the one about the 45-year-old man who's married with 2 kids who doesn't have any time?